Public transport is the one that moves the economy, the enabler of commerce, and the biggest category of workforce are from Kenya. We have close to 14,000 Kenyans who work with Wasalat. They work as public bus drivers, they work as school bus drivers, they work as even service drivers, they work as taxi drivers. So for that category, they are very much well appreciated. This is a nutshell in the summary of the category of Kenyans we have. Your Excellency, we also have the cohort of Kenyans who are pioneers. They work in various government institutions. They have worked close to 20 years, some of them 25 years, and they have formed the bulk of the community that gives advice. This category of Kenyans have also come together to establish what has become a very successful diaspora event and society event on mental health. They have an institution called Gulf Good Vibes. Please, may we recognize the pioneers of this. Your Excellency, they are not only Kenyan community leaders, but they are being accepted as the diaspora, the entire diaspora organizations in the state of Qatar. And they have had a partnership with Ministry of Health, World Health Organization, and the events they are carrying on mental health is now globally recognized, Your Excellency. Thank you. Your Excellency, this successful Kenyan diaspora have had a wonderful activity together. They always celebrate together, and we had the opportunity to join them. And now we are honored that His Excellency, despite his busy schedule, have joined us this evening to grace this occasion, and you'll hear from His Excellency the activities and the support the government is putting forward to encourage diaspora and their welfare. Your Excellency, the issue that has often come up is the issue of some challenges that comes around employment system that have caused challenges to Kenyans, where before the end of the year, and that issue will be resolved. Your Excellency, this is your evening to interact with Kenyans and to hear from their leadership and the cross-section of them who are here. Mine is to take this opportunity to thank you, Your Excellency, for this opportunity to interact and discuss with Kenyans all that they aspire to achieve. Thank you very much, Your Excellency, and welcome.
Thank you so much, Balozi. Let's give Balozi some good clap. Thank you. Thank you so much, Balozi. We really appreciate your remarks. And we are very grateful of the support you have given to the Kenyan community since you joined as our new ambassador. We do appreciate all the initiatives. This moment, I know it is this day, like the ambassador has said, is for our honorable president to be with us and talk to his people. But we have a representation of those people here, and we have a team that works as the core team here. It's called, we call it KICOC, which is Kenyan Community in Qatar, and it has 5 members, and oversees the issues and affairs of all Kenyans here, and they have a representation of other people, you know, like transport, security, and all those sectors. So any issues, domestic, all those issues comes to this team. And this moment, I want to invite Dr. Omar Farah to present a speech on behalf of the Kenyan community in Qatar. Karibu sana, Dr. Omar. Thank you. Dr. Omar is the chair of the Kenyan community in Qatar.
Assalamu alaikum. Habari zenu. Karibu Rais. Karibu sana Qatar. Kwa majina naitwa Dr. Omar Farah, nafanya kazi na Ministry of Finance na ni cyber security expert. His Excellency the President, Honorable Prime Cabinet Secretary, Honorable Cabinet Secretary for Labor, Your Excellencies, Ambassadors and High Commissioners, distinguished guests, fellow Kenyans, ladies and gentlemen, hamjambo na karibuni. Your Excellency, today we do not gather as strangers in a foreign land. We gather as sons and daughters of Kenya, united by purpose, bonded by identity, driven by a shared dream, that no matter where we live, we remain part of Kenya's heartbeat. We are not just a diaspora, we are a living extension of the Republic. We are Kenya abroad. And like any family, we come with both pride and pain. We celebrate our contributions, but we also carry concerns. We bring solutions, not just stories. In recent months, our community raised 4 core concerns: exploitation in recruitment and employment, limited access to education for our children, a desire for deeper engagement in national development, and the need for climate and cultural inclusion. Your government listened, and more importantly, you acted. Recruitment reform. The fast tracking of the Qatari Visa Center, as has been indicated by our ambassador, is positive, and we look forward to that. Tourism promotion, the One Diaspora, One Tourist campaign will help a lot because we are more than ready to make that happen. On climate action, allocating Kaigata Forest for diaspora-led tree planting makes us the stewards of Kenya's great green future. We are happy that you've identified that place, and we will mobilize our team to ensure that we plant trees there. Education access. Education access. The warm reception of a proposal for a Kenyan school in Qatar. We would like a skill development school rather than a primary or lower primary school. Why? Because most of the parents here are already accommodated. We only need skill development so that we can improve the life of our people and engage them to be able to take more position and better positions. So a skill development school will add value. These are not just policies, they are promises that we plan to work with you to make sure that they are done. We here as a diaspora are also having action. We are not waiting to be asked, we are already building. During the FIFA World Cup, Kenya volunteers served with pride. A lot of Kenyans volunteered. The Kenya Green Maasai Troop, led by Brother Zacchaeus Njuguna and Wycliffe, have been very instrumental in ensuring that the cultural aspect of Kenya is felt, and we were privileged to be given an opportunity to be the only African team representing Africa at the activation in the FIFA World Cup. That was a plus. We also have FC Kenya, football for men, FC Kenya, football for ladies. They are doing wonders. They are carrying the flag of Kenya. We are also having the ladies team that is supposed to be doing its finals this Friday, and they are having finals for the Workers' Cup. And we are promising you, President, the cup is coming home. Then we have this team which is working with the head. A person without a head is a nobody. Gulf Good Vibes, who are dealing with mental health, are doing a wonderful job, and they have, for that matter, attracted support from the Ministry of Health. The World Health Organization is always with us, trying to ensure that we are able to impact knowledge. These are Kenyans working and sparing time to be able to deliver. We are happy to inform you that we have full-fledged sponsorship from the Ministry of Health, Qatar, and we appreciate that as well. Thank you for letting us come. Then we have the Kenya Domestic Workers. Is a team that is responsible for ensuring that they check anybody with trouble, they will inform the embassy, and things are resolved. So we are working hand in hand with the diaspora domestic workers for that matter. We also have a team, we call it the Strategic Communication, led by Captain Faisal. Its responsibility is to ensure that all information from the community is structured in a way that it adds value in relation to solution rather than problem. So we are focusing on finding solutions. So we are more than ready to support. Policy adoption and cycle. To move from momentum to institutional memory, we propose a policy adoption cycle and a framework that ensures diaspora engagement is not episodic but embedded. We need collaboration. We can add value. Awareness, regular diaspora forums to surface emerging issues. In alignment, interministerial task force to align diaspora needs with national policies. On action, time-bound implementation, plans with diaspora liaison who would like to be involved. Accountability, transparent feedback loops, and public reporting on progress. Advancement, policy reviews, every 2 years to evolve with diaspora reality so that we are able to also add value. This cycle ensures that every concern becomes a conversation, every conversation becomes a commitment, and every commitment becomes a catalytic of change. Your Excellency, we are not asking to be remembered. We are asking to be included. We are not asking for favors. We are offering partnership. We are not just Kenyans abroad. We are Kenya abroad. With your continued leadership, we can build a Kenya where no citizen, no matter how far they do not feel forgotten. A Kenya where policy is not just written in Nairobi, but lived in Doha, Dubai, London, and beyond. A Kenya where the diaspora is not a footnote, but a force. Let us move forward, not as a separate chapter, but as one story. One Kenya, one people, one destination. Asanteni sana, na Mungu awabariki.
Thank you so much, Dr. Afara. We really appreciate your remarks. Your Excellency, thank you. Yeah, Your Excellency, from those remarks, you can see there's a lot of work being put by the team, and we do commend that. And I want to add something, and being in the community leadership, there are things that, they have really been mentioned by Dr. Omar, and we do appreciate you taking care of that, and you've had. And while we are asking, because you are here, this is the opportunity we have, is what we are asking from you is to help us mostly with the Kenyans coming here, so that by the time they go back home, they have not lost their dignity. So many have come here and made their lives better, and we want that to continue by having whatever that my chairman has mentioned. Being the moderator, you get to have a chance, and before I invite our ambassador to introduce the other speakers, Dr. Omar has mentioned something which is very close to your heart, Your Excellency, and that is sports. When he mentioned about the football teams here, I am the team manager of the FC Kenya, and one of the things that we do, this team was incepted it has been there for over a decade right now. And these people are struggling, and you have seen what you have seen to the Kenyan national football team. We thank you, we applaud you for that. Ukikumbuka wengine usisahau. These people don't have any sponsorship, so thank you so much. And Ambassador has been working on that to ensure that, because these people come from all sectors of life. There are people earning 1,000 riyals, which is 20,000. So, and we have to support the team through that way. Before I give the mic, I also say I am honored and privileged because yesterday when I was coming back to Doha, as I was about to board my flight, I saw a red carpet. And I was thinking, who is this who's having a red carpet? And when I was on board, I saw you coming. And I was on close to power for 5 hours. It's never a coincidence. It's never a coincidence. So I've been here for 16 years. It's time. Thank you, sir. It was a privilege. So now it's my honor and pleasure to invite our ambassador again so that he can invite the other speakers. Thank you so much, Balozi.
Thank you, John. Your Excellency, you can see the diaspora event is purely managed by our diasporans, and this is the way it is. Most of the time, they invite us to their event. They are the ones who moderate, and that is how organized they are. Without taking much time, Your Excellency, it's my distinct honor to welcome the Minister for Labor, His Excellency, Alfred Butua.
Your Excellency, PCS, Ambassador, fellow Kenyans, hamjambo. Hamjambo tena. I just want to quickly introduce the senior officials who are here so that they are known. We have the Prime Cabinet Secretary, definitely, but we also have senators who are members of the Labor and Social Protection Committee, which I answer to. We have Senator Crystal Asige. I don't know if she was able to make it. She was at the function. I think they are coming. But Crystal Asige, very hardworking, very smart, the Vice Chair. You might know her from the song Extravaganza. Ay, rumba inabamba. You'll see her. I hope she makes it before end of the session. We also have with us Senator Miraj Abdirahman, who is right there, a senator from Mombasa, and a very good friend of mine, Senator Alexander Mundigi of Embu County. I want to introduce Tim to our new labor attaché. We've got a new labor attaché, Mr. Kasoki. I don't know if he's in the house. Mr. Kasoki is at the back over there. And now this is a robust labor attaché. I found him working in Nairobi, clearing and ensuring that only the qualified people being brought by the right companies are coming here. And so he's here to sort out your issues. So if you've got any issues now, you go to the embassy, he'll sort them. That's all his job is, to sort out your issues. So all those problems that you've been talking to me about, now we've got somebody who is very capable to be able to deal with it. Your Excellency, as you've had, people here are very happy to be in Qatar. The ambassador talked about 75,000 people. We are targeting 250,000 Kenyans to come and work here, and they are wanted. Every person I meet says the Kenyans are very good, hardworking, very smart, good people. And I think generally very good looking too. So we have a good band of good Kenyans. I just want to point out 4 things quickly. Point number 1 is that I want to encourage Kenyans coming or going to work overseas to ensure that when you leave the country and you've been promised a job, that you have a work visa, not a tourist visa. Because people who come with tourist visas, you're actually not coming for a job. You're coming for holiday. And so people who have been, who have got into a lot of trouble, being left at the airport, sleeping in the streets, are people who don't come with a work visa. So please tell your relatives or any Kenyan coming that you come with a work visa. That visa protects you because we know that you already have a job. Number 2, we're dealing with unscrupulous agencies. We have a task force made up of the Attorney General, myself, the DPP, and also the DCI. and we are rounding up all these bad agencies. And as you've seen now, things are becoming better. And so we should expect to have quality agencies working for people here in Qatar. I saw one of the issues you're talking about is re-entry, or how you get integrated back home. And I want to encourage you that as you save here, as you work here, please, as much as possible, save majority of your money back at home. Because the re-entry or integration becomes easier when you have more money at home than the one you're using here. And I know some of you are already banking at home and doing projects, but I know some of them just, you send 50-50. I would encourage you to send 80-20. Keep 20 here. Ikikiumana, unajua nyumbani iko sawa. You go home and everything is going on well. We are also fast-tracking. I'll be holding a meeting with my counterpart, the Minister of Labour here, Dr. Ali, to look at how we can fast-track this recognition of our various qualifications. And we're looking at how your qualifications from Kenya can be recognized here so that you can get jobs, and also look at the issue of equal pay for equal work, so that you are paid the same as other people doing the same job, which Qatar has emphasized that that's what they do, but we want to make sure that all companies are doing that. I just want to say that, Your Excellency, I'm very happy to see so many Kenyans here. They represented so many other Kenyans, and we're going to ensure that many more Kenyans come to work in this great country, because of all the nations of the world, we don't get many complaints from people working in Qatar. They're very happy to be here, and they like, and most of them who have been here, as our very good moderator said, he's been here for 16 years, and by looking at the shape of his ears, he wants to extend to 20 or 25 years. So they're not going. So they come here and they stay, which is a very good sign. It is now my pleasure to invite the Prime Cabinet Secretary and Minister of Foreign Affairs and Diaspora Affairs to say his comments and invite you. Thank you, Your Excellency.
Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, my dear brothers and sisters wa Kenya wote ambao wako hapa, hamjambo. Asante sana. Your Excellency, I'll just highlight 2 points, then I can invite you. One is that we are missing our erstwhile PS, Rosalind Jogu. She's on the way. Hopefully she'll get us while we are still here. And I was singling her out because she has also worked very closely with the Ministry of Labor, with the President, and with other people within the Foreign and Diaspora Ministry to really give this Department of Diaspora a worthy profile. So those who are from the Diaspora Department, if you're here, could you just stand up? Can you clap for them on behalf of the PS who will be hopefully joining us? Now, in previous occasions like this, we have shied away from making very many speeches because it's usually a moment for the President to really have an interaction with the Kenyans in different parts of the world where they reside. And I don't want to dilute that moment whatsoever. I want him to be able to have sufficient time to talk to you, and perhaps, time allowing, you can also ask questions. But let me tell you something. His program actually was ending today. And he was supposed to have been here and then left for the airport at exactly 5:30. You good people, you know what he said? I have changed my mind. I am not leaving today until I have talked to the Kenyans with a little more detail on some of the issues. So Mr. President, let me thank you for reorganizing your own schedule and allowing Kenyans here to interact with you a little more closely. Finally, let me just point out that we are proud of the Kenyans who are working outside. We are really proud of them. As a country, you may not know, but I can tell you you're making a tremendous contribution to the stability of our economy, and we want to continue thanking you for doing that. Do not tire. The other thing is just to say that there are challenges, which some have been highlighted. In Parliament, we face questions about your welfare, about your well-being. So Kenyans at home also express a lot of concern and dedication to see that whatever you're doing out here, you're also safeguarded. And indeed, the Constitution demands that the government of the day protects Kenyan citizens, whether they're in their country or they're outside their country. So this is something that we want to reassure you about for the Kenyan government. And finally, to say that we are happy that we are getting less and less incidents of Kenyans violating laws in other countries. That, again, is a very important message. Once in a while, you can have an incident, sometimes very tragic incidents, but by and large, the reputation of the Kenyans is broadly very good across the globe. So we want to encourage Kenyans in the diaspora to continue living and being Kenya abroad, as your spokesman did say. So with those few remarks, it's now my honor and pleasure to request you to be upstanding so that we can invite His Excellency the President to come and address us. Thank you, Mr. President.
Asante sana. Good evening, everybody. I'm Jambo. Please take your seats. Fellow citizens, let me say that I'm truly honored to have this engagement with you in Doha this evening. I bring you greetings from friends, your fellow citizens in Kenya, many people who wish you well. This evening, on behalf of your fellow citizens in Kenya, the government of Kenya, and my family, tunawaletea salamu nyingi sana, and we wish you well. I must admit that it is true that I had scheduled to leave this evening. But amongst the things that persuaded me to extend by a day, there are many things, but one of them was when I looked at my schedule and I was told that I was going to speak to you, and I thought, since you are as significant, and Omar has said it very well, that you are not just people in diaspora, you are Kenya. And because Kenya is my business, I thought I should stay behind and have an introduction with you. I also must admit that I have been to many diaspora meetings. I have never found one as organized as this one. Honestly, I have never been to a diaspora meeting with clarity, with focus, and with great organization like the one I see here. Congratulations to you guys. maybe my ambassador is the one responsible. But I'm told it's not him. I'm told it's you guys. The team here in Doha, the leaders, the diaspora leaders here, congratulations. You really, I'm very proud of you guys. You have spoken to the core issues that you think are of concern to you, and you have spoken in a very profound way. You have actually spoken to how we can solve them, not how big the problems are, but how possible the solutions can be achieved. And therefore, it's a very positive conversation. Let me just say a few things, then I can open the floor for an interaction or a conversation. It is true that in the last election, I did make a commitment that we will have a much more robust and a better engagement with our diaspora. And it is the reason why I set up a State Department for Diaspora Affairs. And I got the right person to do it. Rosalyn Jogu has done a good job in the diaspora docket. She's been with me, she's been ahead of me in many places, trying to work on matters consular, issues that have come up, repatriating Kenyans whenever we are in difficult situations in different parts of the world. I remember the latest in Lebanon and many other hotspots around the world. So I am very proud that the Diaspora Department has created a better relationship between Kenyans in diaspora and Kenyans back at home. I am prepared to see what additionally we can do to better the engagement, to do what we are doing in a better way to serve you better. And I hope before we conclude this meeting, Rosalyn will be here so that she can speak in detail on what the Diaspora Department is doing. Let me also say that back at home, we have been deliberate about matters diaspora. The National Employment Authority, and the chair, I saw her somewhere in town today, was a very convoluted place when we came into office. We had many very bad people operating as employment agencies. What are those people called again, Mutua? Recruitment agencies. And we had very crooked, very unprofessional people. So we have had to change the registration process for recruitment agencies. And we have had to disappoint many people because recruitment agencies that had a track record of doing the wrong thing, we've had to deregister. How many again, Mutua? Almost 600 recruitment agencies. We have had to deregister them because they were doing the wrong thing. They were picking money from people. They were sending people with, tourist visa. Many of the complaints that we got were because of the recruitment agencies doing the wrong things. We've since created a multi-agency team that now looks at the whole exercise of Kenyans being recruited outside Kenya in a holistic manner. We have gone through the motions to make sure that all the job opportunities from every part of the world are posted on a government website where everybody can see, so that if it is not in the government website, then you know that job is actually fake. We have also streamlined the processes to make sure that if you're looking for a passport, we've reduced the time for people who have a letter of employment from waiting for 2-3 months. Now you can get a passport in 2-3 days. We've created a green channel for the people like yourselves who have a job outside Kenya, so that we can encourage, more recruitment agencies, more Kenyans to apply. And we've also, apart from creating a green channel for passports, we have also found a mechanism where Kenyans who do not have the money to pay for tickets, we're now finding a way with our national youth youth fund, and we are also taking it now to Uwezo Fund, so that they can find money which they refund after some time to buy themselves tickets and find their way to jobs. I have also been very clear on making sure that we do not send Kenyans to countries that we do not have bilateral labor agreements. And it is the reason why, under the leadership of Musalia Mudavadi and the State Department for Diaspora and Ministry of Labor, we are signing more bilateral labor agreements. We are upgrading those that already exist. Like already there is a conversation between the government of Kenya and the state of Qatar on making sure that we now increase the number of skilled workforce that comes into this country. We're doing the same in Saudi Arabia. We're lucky we've done this again last year with Germany, with Austria. I had a conversation with the president of Hungary again today, and we are looking at opportunities there. He will be visiting Kenya sometime early next year for us to conclude that process. So our aim is to have bilateral labor agreements with at least 19 or 25 countries where we are certain that we have a firm government-to-government engagement that ensures that citizens of Kenya in those countries have the legal protection of both the government of Kenya and the host country government to make sure that we protect our citizens. And so, to you people in Qatar, I am very happy when I landed at the airport. Many people, Habari Mheshimiwa. I saw many people at the conference facility. I was wondering whether I was in Nairobi or whether I was in Nairobi or I was in Qatar. But you feel a sense of pride if you see citizens of your country, in different places of the world. And specifically to you people in Qatar, I must say congratulations, you are doing a wonderful job, and you have our support. Let me also say that it is our intention to support you on 3 other areas. We are working as a government to see how we can reduce the cost of you sending money back home, remittance. We know that it costs anywhere between 5 to 10% of the money you send. And if you look at the amount of money that comes to Kenya, it's about $5 billion. If you do 5% of $5 billion, it's colossal. It's huge money. It can make a big difference. So I did instruct the central bank to work with the International Association of Remittance so that we can find, much more cost-effective mechanisms of you being able to send your money back home. The second issue we are working on is how to support, the many people who come, and because of different customs, different cultures, they get disoriented and sometimes end up into depression. I'm very happy that you have a team here who is providing psychological support to Kenyans here. We're trying to mainstream that into policy so that we can find support through our embassies to support Kenyans. I think Rosemary would have been better placed to explain because she has briefed me on what they are doing and how we need to mainstream that, provide more safe houses for people to, if people are in need or they are affected in one way or another, they can find a safe place where we can assist them, even as we find mechanisms of how to support them either here or to support them to go back home. So we are still assessing. I think there are now a couple of safe houses in different countries. We're trying to expand that footprint so that we can support more Kenyans and their families in the diaspora. And finally, we also want to see how we can support you invest back home and help you structure that investment. We are in the final stages of a diaspora bond on how people in the diaspora can support Kenya with a diaspora bond that also gives you an investment income. So again, I think this is some of the outcomes of what we had as the diaspora conference that we had in Nairobi, I think a year and a half ago. And we are on the final stages through cabinet, and then finally we will create a framework that you can participate. And that is aside from all the other things that we are doing, including the affordable housing program, where instead of you now struggling to send money to some contractor or your relative, you can now buy affordable housing. Boma yangu #832 star, is it *823#, buy a house. You don't have to struggle with who is the contractor and who is what. You have the undertaking of the government of Kenya that whatever house you buy, you will get it. Different from if you send to your friend or your relative, you will find that they will keep sending you pictures of the neighbor's house. I think there are many experiences of that kind, right? So again, there are those opportunities which you can tap into, and we can all take that forward. That is one thing I wanted to discuss with you, the issues about diaspora. I know there are many other issues that you would want us to discuss, which I will be here to listen to you later. The other thing I wanted to tell you was the status of where we are as a country. I know many of you read stories in social media, misinformation, disinformation, and everything in between. But just so that you know, I will tell you 5 things. Number 1, our economy. Our economy has, since the last 3 years, the economy has stabilized. Inflation has come down from 9.6 to 4.6 this month. Our dollar exchange rate has strengthened from 165 to now 129, 128. I don't know whether that is good or bad for you guys. Certainly it's good for our economy. Our foreign exchange reserves have grown from about $5.7 billion in 2022 to $12 billion now. It's actually doubled. And therefore, we can sort out any dollar issues. There are people who could not remit their earnings to foreign countries. Now they can do it with a lot of ease. So I can confidently tell you that our economy is now stable. For those of you who follow the international financial news, Kenya was among 6 countries that everybody thought was going to default in 2022. In fact, I remember meeting Antonio Guterres, and he was telling me, what will you do, Mr. President, when your country defaults? But the good news is that by God's grace, with all the things that we did in between, cut back on this, removing subsidies on many of the things that were there, of the 6 countries that were built to default, 5 defaulted, Kenya did not. And if you follow, IMF released a report 3 months ago. Kenya's economy now has passed Ethiopia, has passed Angola. Kenya is now the 6th largest economy in Africa. If you follow news, our Nairobi Securities Exchange was the best security exchange in Africa last year. So I have been to the Nairobi Securities Exchange, I think 5 times, because I wanted to build confidence in the Securities Exchange, because it is one avenue. The capital markets are one avenue that we can use to raise development resources, aside from all the other areas. So on the economic front, I am very confident about Kenya's future. The numbers don't lie, they are there. What I am telling you, you can go into any platform and you will find the numbers there. In fact, our governor of Central Bank, Mr. Thuge, was voted the best governor of Central Bank in Africa because of what has been done. So that's on the economic front. So just to allay fears that may be spread by the different media. Number 2 is that we are stabilizing our food security. I know many of you know that in 2022, we had people in the streets with superiors on their heads because the price of unga had gone to 250. Those people have since left, just for your information, because We have intervened. We have changed the framework of our approach to the agricultural sector. We've moved away from subsidizing consumption. We moved it to supporting production, reducing the cost of fertilizer, making sure that we have available seeds. We did a big program on making sure that we use data to run government programs. We've registered 7.1 million farmers. We now have data on how many farmers are growing tea, how many farmers are growing sugarcane, how many farmers are doing coffee, avocados, wheat, rice, and we are engaging them on the basis of correct information. We've also digitized all the supply of seeds and fertilizer. Today, you cannot just walk into a shop to buy fertilizer. You have to be a registered farmer because we are subsidizing that fertilizer. Since then, we have removed cartels, brokers and characters who are distorting, our programs. I know you are aware that in one place in Western Kenya, I had to tell some notorious brokers, mambo ni matatu. I don't know whether you remember that. Because they were so incorrigible, so daring, that they had taken hostage a whole sugar sector. Now I can confidently tell you we have brought in the private sector in our sugar industry. I was on Thursday and Friday and Saturday. I was in Western Kenya, in Busia, in Kakamega, in Vihiga, and I can confidently tell you that our sugarcane farmers, for the first time, got bonus last year, and we will have bonus again this year. For the first time in Kenya's history. And we moved our sugar production from about 600 metric tons to 815 metric tons. It is our plan that by next year we will do 1 million tons, and by 2028 we will be a net exporter of sugar from Kenya. And that goes also with coffee. For those of you who have coffee in different parts of Kenya, the prices of coffee have gone up from an average of 60, 70 shillings a kilo. This year, we were at 130, 140, 110 at the very least. And we are continuing with the reform of that sector because initially, the licensing regime facilitated people to engage in curtailing the sector. You found one person is a farmer, he is registered as a broker, he is also registered as a miller, he is also registered as a buyer at the Nairobi Coffee Exchange. And therefore, there was an incestuous relationship that undermined farmers. Today, we have straightened that space, and that is why we have better prices of coffee. Same thing with tea and all the other areas. In short, what I can tell you is that we have an import bill, food import bill of about 500 billion Kenya shillings, $4 billion. Just imagine. Every year, importing sugar, edible oil, maize, wheat, rice. So it is my intention to cut down that import bill by 50% by 2027. We want to reduce it by 250 billion Kenyan shillings. And we are on course because this year we reduced the imports of maize by 70%. We reduced the imports of sugar by 80%. We are now working on rice and wheat, and then edible oil is the one on the line. So again, we want to transform the agricultural sector so that instead of us importing 500 billion Kenyan shillings, we should be exporting more. Let me say three final things. You're aware that I did make a commitment on matters to do with health. And I know you know how health operates because now you stay in this country. We've had to change the whole health infrastructure in Kenya. I thought I was going to reform the National Health Insurance Fund. It was not possible to reform it because it was too rigid, and therefore we had to tear it down and build it from scratch. So we went to Parliament, took a bit of time, but we now have 5 pieces of legislation. From one law, we have now 5 pieces of legislation that undertake our health infrastructure program, moving it from a health infrastructure that was heavily tilted towards those who had jobs and those who had means to a universal health coverage where everybody is on board. As a result, we now have increased, we've done 4 things actually in that sector. Number 1, we have changed the health provision structure. We did register all facilities. We did an assessment of all the facilities, and we want to sort out 4 issues. We want to set out, number 1, making sure that every Kenyan is registered. As I talk to you, 27.2 million Kenyans are now registered under Social Health Authority, up from 8 million. We now have 3.5 times more Kenyans registered, from 8 million to 27.2 million. It is our intention that in the next 6 months, we should have 30 million Kenyans. We should have actually reached universal, because that does not include dependents and children and others. So, number 1. Number 2 is to change how equipment is delivered to our hospitals. In the past, we used to buy equipment, and because you don't have a big financial outlay, you then end up buying very limited equipment. We've since structured. Now we work with manufacturers. We don't have to pay for the equipment. We have what we call fee for service. We have equipment delivered to our hospitals, and we only pay when we use that equipment to the manufacturer. That was possible because they looked at our health infrastructure, how we had registered Kenyans and how they were going to get paid, and they were satisfied. I was, for example, in Butere on Thursday. I was on Thursday in Butere. There's a small level 4 hospital in Butere, and you had CT scan there, you had all manner of equipment there. Ordinarily, you would never find a CT scan in Butere. If you were lucky, you would find it in the referral hospital in Eldoret or Kakamega. But because of the new framework we have created, it is possible for us to deploy the most sophisticated equipment in every hospital in Kenya. On Monday or Tuesday, I was in Nakuru. Again, we were having the latest equipment delivered to the referral hospital in Nakuru. For those of you who follow my social media account, you will see. So we are changing the framework of delivery of health. And finally, is how we deliver health commodities. If you listen to many of the people at home, people normally complain about there is no dawa, kuna dawa. Mwananchi wa kawaida anasema hakuna dawa. So we need to solve that hakuna dawa problem. And we have found the reason how to solve it. We've now given a better framework to KEMSA. We've decided that we deliver health commodities, medicines direct to health centers and dispensaries instead of taking them to stores at the county and all the other places. So we have built a better health infrastructure. It is a commitment that I made, and it is a commitment that I'm very proud that today is becoming a reality. And finally, he's just mentioned to you about education. I saw Omar mentioned about education here. Education is very important. For those of you who follow events at home, we had 4 different issues with education. We had CBC. Many parents were complaining they were doing homework up to midnight. They were being told to make cars at night, and many other stories. And so we have straightened CBC. Now there is clarity on what happens. Number 2, we had a big shortage of teachers. I can confidently tell you we have hired the largest number of teachers in Kenya's history. By January, we will have hired 100,000 teachers in 3 years. That is ordinarily government hires 100,000 teachers in 20 years. But we've done it in 3 years because I'm a very strong believer that if we want to equalize the fortunes of all our children, from poor or rich families, education must be accessible to everybody. We also had challenges with classrooms. We sourced money from the World Bank. We work with our own resources, with members of parliament. I must commend them. We built 23,000 new classrooms, and we are on the way building another 1,600 laboratories that will bring children, especially from informal settlements, rural areas that ordinarily would need to a laboratory or sufficient classrooms or enough teachers. That is the ecosystem we are sorting. We have also made sure that our universities, for those of you who understand what was the challenge with our universities, we had many universities, Nairobi University, Kenyatta University, Egerton University. They were paying lecturers half pay because there wasn't enough money. So we changed the funding model. We now have what we call student-centered funding model that ensures that we assess every student to make sure that no child, especially those from vulnerable backgrounds, miss school. We have since increased scholarships and loans to make sure that children from vulnerable backgrounds get up to 90% loan and scholarship so that we carry them along. So I just thought I should mention some of the things that we are doing back at home. And then finally, let me talk about jobs. I did make a commitment on jobs because we spend 680, in fact, this year, it is 702 billion Kenya shillings on education. 700 billion shillings on education. It is important that as we spend that amount of money in education, we also think about what happens to the pipeline when these people who are in ECDs, primary, secondary, college, university, when they get out of the pipeline, what happens to them? And that is why we came up with 4 pipelines for how to create jobs. And we wanted to be deliberate. Sometimes there is a conversation about creating jobs, but it is not certain. It is not deliberate. Unless you drill down to detail, you are unlikely to have any impact. And that is the reason why we were thinking, and we rolled out 4 different interventions on matters to do with creating jobs. Number 1 is our housing program. I know many of you, not you, many people in Kenya were asking me, what is wrong with you? Who told you we need houses? But you see, any country that needs to stimulate the economy, they look at public infrastructure that creates, that is labor intensive and uses it, whether it's America, whether it is Europe, that's what they do. And again, for your information, housing was a program that has been there with us. It was there in the KANU manifesto. It was there in the NACA manifesto. It was there in the NASA manifesto. It was there in the Jubilee manifesto. It was there in the SCTNEWS manifesto. It was there in the Kenya Kwanza manifesto. It's a permanent feature in all the manifestos. But it was difficult to implement because it's not easy. Just for context, my brother, President Uhuru, and I, we had the big 4 in 2017. And one of the big 4 was housing. And we did everything because it is the right thing to do, and all of us agree. So when we were elected, we wanted to do housing. I remember very well, we went to Parliament, we passed the law, we created the fund, we created the levy. In fact, President Uhuru told me he knew of somebody called Charles Hinga, who was in South Africa, and who was a good expert in these matters of housing. We brought him, we looked for him, we brought him to Kenya, we met him, Principal Secretary for Housing. And then when everything was ready, and we started to collect the levy, and then there was noise. No, this levy, I don't know, these ones are complaining, those ones are complaining, maandamano hapa, nini pale, nini kelele. Then President Uhuru called me and told me, William, si wewe uko na nyumba? Nikamwambia ndio, mimi niko na nyumba. Sasa hii kelele hii tunapigiwa ni ya nini? Kama hao watu hawataki manyumba, achana na hawa. So our housing plan collapsed. But you see, the irony is that that was 2017. Come 2022, housing was in the manifesto of Kenya Kwanza, mine. Housing was in the manifesto of the opposition, then Azimio, complete with 1.5% levy. Si mimi kwa bahati Mungu amenijalia nimeshinda uchaguzi. Housing si ndio hiyo iko hapo. Sasa ule Hinga was still PS, so I told him, you are not going anywhere. Sasa tufanye hii kitu this time. Akaniangalia, akaniambia, hii utawezana na makelele? So the keleles came. I was given new names, Sakayo, I don't know who. But I stood my ground. Because it was the right thing to do 40 years ago. It is still the right thing to do now. Because, let me give you an example. I invited the president of Singapore. He came to Kenya in 2023. Singapore was exactly like Kenya. Not even exactly. Singapore was actually a slum like Kibera in 1963. Just imagine. Singapore, if you look at the pictures, and he told me that they actually used force to get people to move from the slums to go and occupy houses on the 10th floor and 15th floor and 30th floor. For Kenya, we didn't have to use force. So he told me housing is something that you must do. It's not easy, but it changes a nation. Just look at the difference. They implemented housing in 1964. Today, Singapore is a first world country. 95% of their population are home owners. The opposite is that in Kenya, we did not implement. We are a third world country. 7 million Kenyans live in slums. Do you see the difference? So, we're implementing housing. In fact, I think my team has some pictures on what we are doing in Kenya. Today, we are building 230,000 units. 230,000 units in every town and townships in Kenya. I mean, if there is one thing that is going to change the destiny of our nation, it's housing. If you go to Mandera, you go to Wajir, you go to Kitui, you go to Mombasa, you go to Nyeri, you go to Murang'a, you go to Eldoret, you go to Kisumu, you go to Siaya, everywhere. I was on Friday, I was in Funyula. Do you know where Funyula is? Unajua mahali Funyula iko? Eh? Funyula is in Busia. You know? And we have a 10-story affordable housing program in Funyula. We are doing another 14-story in Busia town. We are doing another one in Malaba. And on and on and on and on. Just before I show you the clip, what is happening? We are now hiring close to 600,000 people. Engineers, architects, quantity surveyors, electricians, plumbers, masons, and everybody in between. We have people working in the steel industry, in the cement industry, in our quarries, and everybody in between. By next year, housing will be hiring 1 million people. So, apart from decent housing, apart from helping us with reducing on land fragmentation, apart from stimulating our economy, housing is creating opportunities for jobs. And these are only 230,000 units. We have a shortage of 2.5 million housing units, and it is growing. So we will be at this housing for the next 20, 25 years before we can stabilize. And you know what? We have built this whole big program. Now the contracts we have signed is 600 billion. How much? 600 billion. Housing, markets, hostels, and all of it is our own money. We haven't borrowed from the World Bank. We have not borrowed from nobody. And for your information, if I were to go and borrow 600 billion shillings from the World Bank, I would live in Washington for 10 years to get it. I would need 10 years of letter writing and begging. But we have mobilized our own domestic resources, and Kenya is changing. The skyline of every town is changing, and we have many people working. You know, so I don't mind the names. I don't mind the names. So long as Kenya gets transformed, I'm missing a problem. Sindio? Yeah. That's how nations are changed. Nations are not changed by small thinking, you know, being politically all the time, you know. You are waiting what will become a coffee throughout. You can never change a nation that way. That is one. Number two, we are expanding our digital footprint. We now have Ajira centers, we now have ICT hubs, we have BPOs, business process outsourcing. In fact, Teleperformance, the largest BPO in the world, is now set up camp in Nairobi. Is that correct, Thigo? Yeah? At that place in Two Rivers. They've set up a huge facility there. So, and we now have close to 180,000 people working in that ecosystem of digital jobs, because we have streamlined the law around there to make sure it works. That's our second pillar on creating jobs. And we now want to take ICT hubs to every ward in Kenya. Members of Parliament, we have allocated them resources to build an ICT hub in every ward in Kenya, so that we have 200-300 young people working, getting skilled, so that they can work globally. And then number three is what I've just discussed with you, you know, creating a pipeline for Kenyans who want to work abroad, you know, by streamlining visa, making sure that we have different countries, and doing what we must to make sure that we facilitate the diaspora the way we are doing. In the last 3 years, 420,000 Kenyans have joined the diaspora. We now have clear numbers on who is working where, what is their pay, and what is their status. I'm very happy that close to maybe 10,000 of you, between 10 and 15,000 according to Mutua, have joined the diaspora in Qatar in the last 3 years. And we will now scale up, because we have removed what were bottlenecks. Our intention is to triple the number of people working in Qatar as we do it elsewhere globally, because we still have opportunities. Wherever we have an opportunity, we will drive. And finally, on that subject of job creation is the whole ecosystem we are building with special economic zones, county aggregation and industrial parks, and the negotiations we are carrying out to open new markets for Kenya. We've just concluded discussions with China to open the Chinese market for Kenyan products. We operationalized the European market. We signed the economic partnership agreement with Europe, 26 countries, last year, June. Now we have a whole European market open to Kenyan products. We have the Africa Continental Free Trade Area market, and we are engaging the US to extend AGOA and to also negotiate a bilateral labor agreement between Kenya and the United States. So all these markets are for products from Kenya. Agro-processing, value addition, manufacturing, industrialization, that is the trajectory we are using to create new opportunities for work. So I just thought of, putting this picture to you as citizens of Kenya, so that you know the status of your country and you know where to participate and how to contribute. Finally, before we do this clip, let me conclude by saying that what we have done in the last 3 years is okay, but it's not good enough. It is not good enough. Why do I say so? Kenya is a third world country by mistake. We shouldn't be a third world country. We are not made of third world country stuff. We are supposed to be playing in a different league. Do you understand? Yes. We can move Kenya from a third world country to a first world country in our lifetime, if we do a couple of things right. And I have put a proposition to us, to the people of Kenya, on how to move from a third world country to a first world country in the next 25 to 30 years. China did it, Korea did it, other countries, Malaysia did it, we can do it. Looking at what we have done, I am very persuaded that we can move this country to a first world country. We need to do 3 things, in my opinion. Number 1, we need to bring under production another 2.5 million acres of land, agricultural land, so that we finish with importing food and we export to the markets we have already negotiated. We need to build at least 50 mega dams, huge dams, High Grand Falls Dam, Soin Koru Dam, and we have a list of them. They've been in our books for the last 20 years. We have all of them in our books. But we haven't done it because we haven't thought of how to do it. I have put a proposition on how we can do it. We need 1.5 trillion shillings. That's just about maybe 10, 12 billion dollars. We can raise that money. So to raise here housing, 600 billion. We've raised it. But this one we can raise even without any levy. We'll raise it to tumia tu akili. Tuache ujinga. Tumia akili. Mnanielewa? That's what we need to do. And we are going to do it, not too far from now. I discussed it with the Emir of Qatar today on how we can create that partnership, because that's number 1. Number 2, we need to generate energy. We need to generate electricity. As I talk to you, we have 2,300 megawatts. The whole country. How much? 2,300. Tulienda na kimbelembele yetu tukaenda tukanegotiate na Microsoft na G42 tukanegotiate. You know, when I went for the trip, I went to the United States with Biden. So we signed an agreement there between G42 of UAE, Microsoft of America, and Kenya to establish data centers. Sindio? Sasa wakati nimerudi nyumbani haya tumeanza data center. Tukaambiwa one data center requires 1,000 megawatts. Na tuko na 2,300. Tuko na 2,300 megawatts the whole country. So ili tufanye hiyo data center, we have to shut down half the country. Unaona sasa? So we need to have, if we have to industrialize, if we have to engage in manufacturing, we need minimum 10,000 megawatts of energy. And we need it like yesterday. Today, in Kenya, jioni between 5 and 10 p.m., we have to do load shedding. We have to shut off some areas to be able to power other areas because our energy haitoshi. I was in Ethiopia last month. Tulienda kufungua dam hapo. That one dam is generating 5,400 megawatts. 2.5 times our whole power in Kenya. One dam. Mnaona si tuko na shida? Tuko na problem. So we have to. And we need about 1.2 trillion to do it. And we will find the money to do it. Mnanielewa? Yes. Otherwise, we will be left behind. Huyu Thiko huyu is my technology advisor. AI, if we are left behind, tutakwama milele. So we cannot afford to be left behind this time. And AI is a huge consumer of energy. So we have to. And I have to tell you this. Simuliniambia, you are Kenya abroad. Yes, I have to tell you, because you have a stake in this. And then number 3, we have to invest in infrastructure. We need to extend the SGR from Naivasha to Uganda. We need minimum another 10,000 kilometers of tarmac so that you people can get home whenever you're going home. And OJKA canvas iko kwa runway. Sasa tunaongea nini? And you see, there are some people defending. No, you see, Ruto anataka kuuza airport. Mimi nataka niuze airport niende nifanyie kitu gani? You know, Qatar here is building an airport in Rwanda under the same framework. Are we together? So I had a conversation with the Emir today, and we have put on the table what we are going to do with our airport, what are we going to do with Kenya Airways, and all the other things. Because, you know, the kind of investment we need kwa hiyo airport yetu is possibly almost 200 billion Kenya shillings. We don't have to put our money. We have money in the private sector that can do it. Yeah? So we need about 4.5 trillion Kenya shillings to undertake the three things I have told you. It's about $35 billion, and we are going to do it. Otherwise, tutakwama. Shida, friends, shida tuko naye Kenya ni average thinking, ordinary, usual. Unless we up our game, unless we up our ambition, unless we think about the extraordinary. And I like the person who prayed here. He said, excellence and integrity in his prayer. We have to begin to think about the excellent. Wachana na hii average. Hii average thinking hii ndio inatuletea hasara. We look at everything, we think it is impossible. We look at that, we think it's impossible. Others did it. Why can't we do it? So I really want to persuade you as citizens of our great country. Let us agree to change Kenya. We can do it. Let me give you one final example. Sababu najua imani yenu pengine iko kidogo. But you have seen this country is kama sio mafuta, we have more assets than they do. Kama sio mafuta ama? Yes. All these barabara, nini, housing, imepangwa. It's been built. See what it was there? All this you see here was not there 30, 40 years ago. But they've done it. Yeah. Ndio Waswahili wakasema, ukiona vyaelea, ujue vimeundwa. Yeah. So we need to unda our own. Ama? Let me give you an example. A final example. And I'm sorry if I am taking time, but I rarely get... Si mulikuwa mnanitafuta? Hata mimi nilikuwa na watafuta. Sindio? Now listen. Why I'm telling you these things are possible. When I look at housing, look at what we have achieved. In 2 years, just 2 years, you go to Mukuru, you go to Eldoret, you go to Nakuru, you go to Kisumu, you go to Migori, you go to anywhere. Things are happening. And it's just 2 years. Just imagine if we do this for 10 years. What about 20 years? You will not recognize Kenya in 20 years of this. But let me give you a much more pointed example. Investment is a function of savings. I am a scientist. I was told by the economists. That's what the economists say. I'm a scientist myself. I've become a good student of economics over time. So, as a country, unless we save, unless we have a good culture of saving, we cannot change our country. We cannot invest. And that is the reason why NSSF, which is the public saving entity, over the years has been, was never transformed. It's been like that for 40 years. And it's just small thinking. People refuse to think outside the box. So when we came into office with Uhuru Kenyatta, we decided we want to change this. What do countries do public saving, countries do a percentage of people's salary. For Kenya, we made a mistake and we put a static number, 200 shillings. Imagine up to 2023, 2 years ago, every public person and private person was saving 200 shillings at NSSF. Shilingi mia ngapi? Not $200, 200 shillings every month. Mtu anaana 100,000, analipa 200 shillings. Mtu anaana 200,000, analipa. Ndio mjue iko ujinga mingi hii dunia. So what happened? We were left behind. Uganda, 20 years ago, changed their contribution to percentage. 10% by the employer, 10% by the employee. Tanzania, 20 years ago, changed 10% employer, 10% employee. So today, Uganda has a bigger social security fund than Kenya. Tanzania have a bigger social security fund than Kenya. Yet, our economy is twice that of Uganda. Our economy is almost 1.5 times that of Tanzania. But they made the right decision before. Tanzania today, their social security fund is building one of the tallest buildings in Hapa Hill in Kenya. NSF ya Tanzania. Just imagine. Yetu tuko 200, bado tunatoa ile 200. So we changed with my friend Uhuru Kenyatta in 2016. But then some characters took us to court. Wakatuzungusha huko kotini. So by bad luck to them, I became president. So nikawaita. Nikawambia hii ujinga muache. I mean, how can you stall the whole country? Tukwame kwa 200, other countries are going ahead of us. One of them was my friend Atwoli, because he was the one who had taken us to court. Nikamwongelesha, akakuwa mzee mungwana, akaniambia okay, wacha tuende tutoe kesi kotini. Tukatoa kesi kotini. Let me tell you now the good news. Do you know what has happened? By changing the contribution structure, our national social security fund from independence mpaka 2023, we had collected 320 billion shillings for 60 years. How much? 320 billion. In 2 years, with the changed contribution structure, we have doubled to 670 billion shillings. By the end of next year, we will be 1 trillion shillings. Tell me what's going to happen in 5 years and 10 years. We will not be borrowing money from China. We will be borrowing money from our own social security fund. That is how countries grow. Munanielewa? What has China done? China today, if you see, savings as a percentage of their GDP is 55%. Savings as a percentage of GDP in Kenya is 10%. So, sisi, tunachukua kila kitu, tunakula. China wanna save. Then what do? We go and borrow from China. Because wako na akili, they are saving. Then what do we end up doing? Today, we are paying $1 billion every year to China. Unaona ile ujinga tuko na hii dunia. Imagine. Them, they are saving their money. As we are eating ours, alafu tunaenda kuboro yao, wanatulipisha interest kiasi hii, tunalipa, tunakuwa maskini. I have to tell you this. Si mimi ndio rais wa Kenya? Unless I tell you, so that you know where we are. It's good for you to know. It is good. It's good for you to know. Yes. Because you know, hakuna haja ya kufichana. We have to tell each other the truth. So, we must stop this small thinking. I'm very happy that now we are growing our own savings. Because of growing our own savings, interest rates will come down. Because we have enough patient money to lend. Our treasury bills will come down. Our treasury bonds will come down. We will have, a much more stable economy. That is how we'll change Kenya. So, why I'm telling you tunaweza kubadilisha hii nchi yetu in a very short time is because we have the most hard-working people. We have the most, innovative people. Why? Si mmesikia huyu balozi wetu anasema, hawa watu wa Qatar wanasema, tunapenda wa Kenya ni watu wazuri. I met the emir myself. Wananiambia, Kenyans are very good people. They are contributing to our economy. Which is okay. But nani alisema these good people cannot contribute to their own economy at all? Mnanielewa? So, please, let me persuade you. Let me persuade you that we can do this ourselves. And it's not just you I'm trying to persuade. I did sit down with the former Prime Minister, Raila Odinga. We had this conversation, and he was 100% on board. I did sit down with Uhuru Kenyatta 2 months ago to have this conversation, that it is time for us to move Kenya away from this mediocrity. And we agreed. I have come for you. Mukubali jameni, tusukume hii Kenya, tubadilishe nchi. That is why I changed my flight. Because I wanted to talk to you. I wanted to talk to you. Because it's not always that God gives you an opportunity like the one I have. Sindio? Yes. Unajua hapo nyuma, pengine other people could have given excuses. Pengine mwingine anasema nilikuwa mzee. Mwingine anasema pengine si kusoma zaidi. Lakini mimi, what excuse do I have? I am not an old man. Nimesoma vizuri. Mimi si mtu mjinga. I know what I'm doing. So, I don't have an excuse not to transform Kenya. I just need your partnership and assistance. Munisamee kama nimewachokesha, lakini I had to. Because we have a country to mind. We have a country to think about. Because it disturbs me, that Kenya can be a great nation, but we are not moving. Na shida si wananchi, shida ni viongozi sisi. It is us who must think and take the country to the next level. Just persuade you and move together. Can somebody
families pay more for less.
Maji ni ile ya kwenda kwa barabara kushota rainbow, kati ingine inapotea 15, stima ndio na kusumbua kidogo. Sasa ni ndio tunaishi.
Mimi naitwa Jeff Diambo. Nilikuwa naishi hapa ni Mkuru upande wa Riara. Maisha hapa ilikuwa ngumu. Baadaye tumezaliwa hapa, lakini tumekuwa tukipitia changamoto nyingi sana. Drainage iko very poor, nakuta maji mengia mpaka kwa nyumba. Tulikuwa na challenge ya stima, tunatumia stima ile ya sambaza. Hiyo stima most of time unakuta kwamba inashikanishwa na mabati, so inaleta mambo ya shock. Kama kuna shida tumekuwa nayo hapa, challenge kubwa ni mambo ya security. Kwa sababu security hapa ilikuwa tu ni wewe mwenyewe unajibebea maisha.
Wakati mwingine hata kama nilikwenda kukatia mboga pale kwa kibanda, yale maji pale si masafi, maana yamepita kwenye mitaro. Inaleta shida sana katika mwili zetu.
This is the poverty penalty. Today, that story